Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt and I do like video games, and in today's video you might notice I have a different pair of specs on, and that is because I'm an idiot who broke my old pair of glasses, or my normal pair of glasses that I wear every day. So I got these backup glasses, and you're probably going to have to just get used to them for the next few weeks because I'm probably going to be sporting these until I get some new glasses. Who knows, maybe I'll embrace these full time. Maybe this will be a full time thing, a full time look for me. I'm not entirely sure. I gotta be honest, they are more comfortable than the other pair of glasses. I mean, take it or leave it, they're more comfortable, but that's besides the point. We're talking about games today. We're talking specifically about Starfield today. And we're talking about Starfield today because I've seen a take that is just outrageous, I think would be the best way to describe it. Or at least that's how I feel. I mean, apparently a lot of people don't feel like this, but I feel like it's an outrageous take. And we're going to be discussing it here today in this video. So let's get right into it. And the take I'm seeing, it's coming from a lot of different people, honestly. And I'm sure you guys have heard it by now. It's the fact that, if Starfield is bad, then Xbox is doomed. And I want to really talk about two things as it pertains to this. One, the fact I don't think that Xbox is doomed if Starfield is bad. Two, I do not think Starfield can be bad. Now, first, I'm going to talk about, Xbox being doomed because, like I said, I just don't think that happens if Starfield is bad. And you might be thinking, well, why do you say that so confidently? How do you know Xbox won't flop if Starfield is bad? Well, the reason I say that is because look at Halo Infinite. Now, Halo Infinite now, it's in a much better place now. Lots of content, tons to do. It feels like you're seeing new crazy things being made in Forge every single day. And then there's the custom games browser on top of, a good selection of playlists to play in actual matchmaking. It's a really good game now. But at launch, it was pretty good. The campaign was great. I really loved the campaign. The multiplayer felt great. There just wasn't enough content. And that kind of persisted throughout 2022. It wasn't until the very end of 2022, like November, December, when we started getting these real meaningful updates to Halo Infinite. Now, for all of 2022, besides that, Halo Infinite was, by all accounts, considered dead by a lot of people. Now, if Microsoft can survive that, their flagship IP, the new entry in their flagship IP, being basically dormant, basically dead for a full year, then I don't think Starfield's gonna knock them off the map. And hell, forget 2021, forget Halo Infinite, think back to 2017. Games were being canceled, first party output for Microsoft, was pretty damn bad. It was pretty abysmal. You had, first party wise, you had Forza Motorsport 7, I believe, and that was really it. No first party studio put out anything else. There really felt like there were no first party studios. It really just felt like it was, Forza and Gears. And then Halo 5 came out like 2 years before that, so you weren't getting another Halo for any time soon. So it was just like, that was an all-time low for Xbox, I feel like. People say that last year, 2022, was the worst year for Xbox. I argue that it might be 2017. And the reason I argue that is because at least in 2022, when things were at, supposedly an all-time low for Xbox, there was still reason to be hopeful. They had studios. Studios work on games, right? In 2017, they had no studios. They had no studios. There was no prospect of another AAA release from Xbox for the next few years. There was just no prospect of it. And again, if Microsoft can survive that, if Xbox can survive just the Xbox One gen in general, then they're not gonna fold if Starfield is bad. But now what I want to talk about is the fact that I think it's actually impossible for Starfield to be bad. Now let me explain what I mean by this, because I posted a tweet the other day and I told people, bookmark the tweet, whatever. I don't care. I'll put it up here so you guys can see it. But I said in the tweet, I think it's impossible for Starfield to be bad. And I want to preface this by saying, this is nothing to do with Xbox. This is so much more to do with Bethesda and Todd Howard. And I say that to bring up this point that I don't think a lot of people acknowledge sometimes, and that is the fact that when Microsoft acquired ZeniMax, yeah, sure, they acquired ZeniMax and all the IP, all the awesome possibilities. They acquired all that stuff, and that's great, right? But at the same time, as soon as Microsoft acquired ZeniMax, that means Bethesda. And I say Bethesda specifically, not Arcane, not id, not Machine Games, not Tango, not anybody else. Bethesda specifically acquired the general perception of Xbox. And let me again preface what I'm about to say. This is an Xbox-centric channel. I do prefer Xbox. If you give me an option between playing on PC, PlayStation, Nintendo, or Xbox, I'm going to choose Xbox. They've got the games that I care about, and they've got the studios that I care about. That's just the way it is. But let's just say, for the sake of this video, and a hypothetical, that 343 was developing Starfield. Not Bethesda, but 343 was developing Starfield. I mean, do you see what I'm saying here? If 343 was developing Starfield, basically, I would not feel nearly as confident. I don't think anybody would feel nearly as confident in Starfield if 343 were developing it. And that's not to say that 343 isn't a talented studio. I think 343 is incredibly talented. I think they just kind of had a really bad leadership problem for a pretty long time. But guys, this isn't 343 we're talking about. This is Bethesda. And, well, specifically Todd Howard. Because whenever you say Bethesda, people always like to throw out, yeah, well, what about Fallout 76? That's not Todd Howard. That's not Todd Howard's team. The last official game that we got from a Todd Howard team at Bethesda is Fallout 4. And people obviously do have, valid criticisms of Fallout 4. I think even Todd Howard acknowledges that they took some missteps with Fallout 4, which is exactly why I think that Starfield is in a position where it's basically impossible for it to be bad. I mean, we look back on Fallout 4, and even with all the rightful criticism that it did get, it's hard to call that a bad game. It reviewed really well, and I certainly can't call it a bad game because I put damn near over 500 hours in the thing. I mean, I had an absolute blast with Fallout 4. Now, I get the criticisms, the RPG mechanics weren't as deep as something like, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, or even Oblivion. I get that, and that is a valid criticism. But for me, I had a ton of fun in the game. Gunplay felt better than it ever has in Fallout, and I genuinely enjoyed the story, albeit, a pretty generic story, but I think they handled it really well. So when I think about that, and then I look at Starfield, and then I hear all the things that Todd Howard has said about the things that they learned from the feedback that Fallout 4 got, like having a voice protagonist in Fallout 4, people hated that. And looking back on it, it kind of was a mistake, because you think about Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, just any Bethesda RPG before Fallout 4. I mean, I guess New Vegas was technically Obsidian, obviously, but just any Bethesda RPG before Fallout 4, there was no voice protagonist. And because there was no voice protagonist, you could make all these weird, wacky outcomes. You didn't have to pay voice actors to say 100 different variations of the same thing, or 100 different variations of the same thing but slightly different. You could make so many different possible interactions and outcomes. And Todd Howard saying that that's what they're going back to with Starfield, I'm thrilled just for that aspect. I mean, for me, just that factor alone is going to make it a better RPG than Fallout 4. And then on top of that, it takes place in space. And I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, space is just more exciting than post-apocalyptia anything. And then guys, on top of that, we've got the combat that they showed in the gameplay reveal last year. I mean, like I said before, the gunplay in Fallout 4 was pretty damn good. It was a quantum leap from what we saw in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Like, it was a whole different level of combat. But what we saw in the gameplay demo last year looked like a pretty big step up from what we saw even in Fallout 4. Guys, I really just don't see how this game comes out as a bad game, like a fundamentally bad game. I just can't see that reality. Now, here's what I do think is possible. I think a few things are quite possible. I think this game can come out and be pretty buggy. Bethesda, the creation engine is known for its quirks. It's a funny engine. It's got its quirks, and it does produce a good amount of bugs. So I would expect this game to be a little buggy. Now, what might happen is it could be so buggy that it gets review bombed, and rightfully so. If it's that buggy, that it deserves that, then, you know, you got to be honest about it and rate it for what it is. But even more so than that, what I think is the most realistic outcome for Starfield is, let's just use Metacritic for a second. I think it'll probably score anywhere from 84 to 89 on Metacritic, which, you know, for a new IP, I think that's pretty damn good. You know, new IPs don't typically score in the 90s, at least not in 2020 and beyond. And then obviously, I think that, you know, if it gets that 84 to 89 on Metacritic, you'll have people who are, you know, in the minority saying that, oh, it didn't score a 90. This is supposed to be Xbox's biggest game of all time. What a failure, or whatever. I'm sure you'll see that if this all happens the way I expect it to happen, you know? But honestly, if the game is good and you're enjoying yourself, just enjoy yourself. Don't let other people get you down. The game hasn't even released yet, and I just thought it was weird that we're seeing this whole negative sentiment around it. All this added pressure, and I get the added pressure part, you know, the fact that it's a first party game now, the stakes are kind of raised a little bit. I fully understand that. It's just, I have no reason to doubt Bethesda or Todd Howard when it comes to making a great game. So I'm not going to start now. And like I said, I do still kind of in my mind separate Xbox and Bethesda. Like when it comes to Xbox's games that they've announced up to this point, Starfield is one of the ones I am least worried about. I mean, maybe outside of Forza Motorsport, I'm not worried about Motorsport at all. I think that'll be a fantastic game for anybody who loves a motorsport franchise. But as far as any other game, Starfield is the one I am least worried about. Like, literally least worried about. Because it's Bethesda, because it's Todd Howard, because I know the kind of games they make. I'm not worried about that game at all. But guys, that's really all I got to say for today's video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts about Starfield. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Are you one of the people who think that Xbox's entire future hinges on Starfield? Or are you one of the people who don't think that? It's no hard feelings. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about all that stuff. Leave a like if you like the video. And if you're enjoying this kind of content and you want to stay up to date with it going forward over here on the channel, the best way to do that is consider subscribing, consider ringing that notification bell, because that helps you stay up to date with everything that happens over here on the channel. And it helps push me in the algorithm, helps push the videos out to more people. And I really do appreciate that. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.